Good morning, it's about 8:45. We're at this really pretty little campsite just west of the Colorado-Utah border. This is my brother, if you missed yesterday's video. And I'm kind of huddled behind my car here because it's really windy outside. It was super windy all night. And my brother was in a tent, and his rainfly was flapping all night, and he had to get up at like 3 in the morning and move his tent to a more sheltered spot. We'll be leaving the campsite here in probably 10 or 15 minutes to go start our Colorado River kayaking adventure. Trevor was camped here last night, but then moved his campsite to between the trees.
It was awful. It was the worst. It was like until 3 a.m. The wind was just doing this all night.
It's just before 9:30 now, and we're going to head out. We spent some time here getting organized and getting food together and everything. We're going to drive to Fruita, which is just west of Grand Junction in Colorado, and we're going to rent Trevor's inflatable kayak there, and then we'll drive the short distance from there to the launch point, to the boat launch, and we'll probably spend like an hour there getting everything ready to go before we finally hit the water. We are now at the boat launch. This is the Loma boat launch, and it is packed. It's a happening place right now. Lots and lots of people. Now we're just getting our kayaks ready. Here's Trevor's inflatable kayak. I imagine it'll look something like this when it's pumped up. Okay, I think we're ready to roll. We've got my kayak here and Trevor's kayak here. And here we are about 5 or 10 minutes after launching. It's very peaceful. Even though there were a lot of people back there on the beach, the river's big enough that it's not really an issue. I can see one other raft up ahead of us and one behind us, but they're not close. I can't hear them or anything like that, so it's really nice. It's nice and peaceful. It'll be interesting to see how crowded how loud the campsites are. There are specific places where you have to camp. You have to reserve a campsite in advance. And so I wonder if they'll all be full and just exactly how close together they are. It's a beautiful day today. A bit windy, as I'm sure you can hear, but great temperatures and a beautiful place. It's a train track here, now paralleling the river. I don't know what all of the trains are that go along this route, but I know that one of them is an Amtrak train called the California Zephyr. And that goes from the San Francisco area to Chicago via, I think, Salt Lake and Denver. And I think that for most, if not all of the rest of the route, the train will be alongside the river here. We've been paddling for almost 2.5 hours. I've covered something like 8.5 or 9 miles. And we're gonna stop pretty soon here to go check out a cabin, an old cabin. I don't really know anything about it. I just know that there's an old cabin here. So Trevor's kayak, I forget what it's called, but there are holes in the bottom. And the holes are supposed to let water out. But they also let water in. So there's a small amount of water. There's what, a couple inches? More?
Foot.
There's a foot of water? There's a foot of water in there now. I think we need to pump it up a little bit more. I think that'll help get some of the water out. Not ideal.
I'm not sure when they designed it whether they knew that the holes in it would let water out and in. Just not sure.
I'm sure the holes are great when, you know, you've got waves coming in the sides, but you know, we're not exactly in that kind of terrain. So he told me earlier, he said it was like paddling a floating kiddie pool down the river. Okay, we've tied up our boats down here and we've gone about 10 miles on the river. I think we have about 2 miles left to our campsite, but we're stopping to go check out this old cabin. On this post here in front of the cabin, someone stabbed a knife. Looks like it's been there for a while. Here's the cabin. I don't know if this was like a miner's cabin or a homestead cabin. Let's go take a look inside. I don't know anything about this thing. Ew. This is newer than I thought it was. I'm guessing this is probably from like the, I don't know, 60s, 70s. Not older than that, or not much older than that anyway. It's interesting, there's still like silverware here, a couple of bunk beds, a pot, a couple of pots, a pan, a stove, some firewood, a chair, a little steno notepad, even a fire extinguisher. Next to the main cabin here, it looks like there's a, I don't know if this was an older cabin and then someone added a toilet to it, or if this was always the toilet. This one definitely looks older than the other one. I don't know if this was built as a shed or if this was the original cabin and they added the second one. We stopped to have some snacks. This is the food that I have for today. Basically just snack food. Got some fruit cups, fruit snacks, peanut butter sandwich, Fritos, granola bars. Nothing too fancy. We have arrived at our camp for the night. Our camp is over by this big cottonwood tree. Right here, this is our spot. Really pretty spot, great views over that way. Great views over this way. This is Me Canyon, M-E-E. Our campsite is Me Canyon number 1, or Me number 1. There are several other campsites in this general area, but they're spaced a few hundred feet apart. Check out this view from the little hill above camp. So this is Me Canyon. It's supposed to be a nice hike up there. I don't know if we'll do that. We're both pretty tired. And we're camped down below this big old tree here. And then this is the view looking up behind camp. There's a giant cave or alcove up there. It's fun being out here with my brother. We don't see each other a ton, maybe once a year, once every other year. Train, the passenger train. Okay, it's about 8 o'clock and we're all settled in. We've been scrambling around on the hills on the slope above camp here, but we're back and the wind has died down a little bit, but as I say that, it's blowing again. I'll give you a tour of camp. This is my spot for the night. I just have my little ground sheet, sleeping pad. The red thing is my sleeping bag, and then the black thing is my bug bivvy. And I put a rock on it so that it doesn't blow away in the wind. Over this way, got the couple of chairs out and the hammock. We're hanging some of our gear up to dry. My sandals and hat. Trevor's shoes. His little battery pack thing got wet too. He's relaxing in the chair over there. We've hung up some of our dry bags. These are mostly our food bags just to get them off the ground. And then Trevor's spot is over here. And that's it. And it was a good day. It was a nice day on the river. Kind of slow, moseying pace on the river. Trevor's kayak isn't the best with all the water that gets in. There's like a foot of water in there, and so it makes it hard for him to maneuver the kayak. Should be interesting tomorrow when we get to the rapids. There's one section of rapids on this stretch of the river. It's a couple miles downriver here. And now that the wind has stopped, the bugs are out, the flies are out. Thanks for watching. I think I'm going to combine this with tomorrow's video to make one long video of the whole river trip. Good morning. It's 8:12 and I slept really well last night. I got like 9-10 hours of sleep, something like that. Still probably want to wait another hour or two until it gets a bit warmer to get on the river. It's 8:45 now and we're gonna go for a little hike over to this canyon, over to Me Canyon. Apparently if you hike back up into the canyon a ways, there are some cool rock formations. So we went around to the back side of this tower arch thing. I don't know what this is called. I want to say Me Canyon Tower, because this is Me Canyon. If it's something else, I'll put that on the screen. Really cool. Then over to the left here, you can't see it now because of where the shadows are, but this is a natural arch, a hole also, that kind of cleft in the rock. We could see through that as we were hiking up. And there's more to the canyon over here, further upstream, further into the canyon. Got more really cool rock formations, and this canyon keeps going for like 10 or 12 miles. We've gone 2.8 miles up the canyon and have been going for an hour and 16 minutes. Trevor wandered off somewhere over there, so we'll go find him, rest a little bit, and then I saw another arch back that way that I would like to go scramble up to. That's a herd of desert bighorn sheep. We think there are 7 of them, give or take. And I just heard Trevor yell my name, and I guess he had heard or seen them. Did you hear him or see him?
Saw him, yeah.
He saw him up there and called me over, and it's very cool. It's always fun seeing those. And here's that other little hole in the rock that I was mentioning before. You can see it from this angle. So we're hiking back to the river, and on the way up, next to this thing, kind of close to that thing, I spotted what I think is looks like a small arch right there. So we're gonna go take a closer look at it. Well, it's not a huge arch, but it's definitely an arch. Give it another couple thousand years, it'll be a good sized arch. It's kind of cool that it has this chalk stone in the middle of the opening. Okay, it is 12:23 and we are getting ready to launch. It is hot, it's probably in the 90s, and we've been just getting stuff ready at camp and loading our boats back up. We're ready to hit the river again.
All right. Beautiful.
Okay. Haha. Ready to go. I think we figured out what the problem was with Trevor's raft yesterday and why it was like floating a kiddie pool. The little central air chamber has a slow leak in it, and so that part is important for the water to run off the side and into the drain holes. We'll probably stop and pull over every hour or so to make sure his kayak has enough air in it. I think Trevor's paddling backwards right now. I think his raft kind of naturally wants to go backwards. I think it's probably because of all the weight. He's sitting toward the back end and then his stuff is in the back.
But the thing is, like, so halfway through that kind of little faster spot, it turned back around forward.
Huh.
And so it just kind of does whatever it wants, and so try to accommodate it. It's kind of like you gotta be a canoe whisperer.
So we're at the start of about a mile-long section called Black Rocks. You can see why. There's some big black rocks along the side of the river here. And the main rapid is in the middle of this section somewhere, in the middle of Black Rocks. And yeah, should be a fun little ride here.
I think that might have been the rapids. Yeah, that's it. Those huge trees.
Well, that was super anticlimactic. It's really pretty going through there, through the rocks, but there wasn't, those weren't rapids. Like, the most rapidiest part of this river was before that. I don't know why that spot was called out as being a spot of rapids, but whatever. Still fun. And there's some really cool rock formations over here. Some more towers. Yeah, a bit anticlimactic. I guess now we're just gonna head for the hills, just paddling out. There is one more thing we want to stop and see, and that's some rock art. So we'll definitely do that. We've pulled our boats up to the bank here. We're underneath a railroad bridge. And we're going up this canyon to find the rock art. I think the rock art is somewhere in this big alcove, which makes sense. If I were Native American a couple hundred years ago, or 1,000 years ago, I'd probably be looking for shade. We found them. There are these two pictographs. The one on the left is about 3 feet tall, and the one on the right is about half that. Don't know what that one on the right is supposed to be. The one on the left is really cool. It's like a Wolverine kind of guy. He's got some long fingers or claws on them. You don't see big white ones like that very often. Looks like there's another something right here. It's kind of indistinct, another white something, and then maybe at one time those were handprints? I can't quite tell. Doesn't quite look like handprints, but something else. And this cave, this alcove thing is beautiful. I think this here was a Native American grinding stone. You can see it's kind of been smoothed out, but then someone else has graffitied over the top of it a little bit. I was standing down here looking up at Trevor and I saw a little pair of concentric circles. Pretty cool. Just 2 or 3 inches across, but easily missed. It's a little bit tricky getting up to these. You have to kind of scramble over here and then also down this way. Not quite just a hike, a walk up. There are a lot of islands in the river, and this is one of the larger ones to the right. We decided to take the smaller channel along the left side of the river instead of the main channel on the right. And it's nice. It's a nice little, it feels like an entirely separate river because it is so narrow. And I think it's a little bit faster too. I think it's a bit of a shortcut compared to the main channel over there. We have about 1.5 miles left on the river. We've started to enter some private lands. Like on the left over here, there's a big farm or ranch or something. We're sucking water up out of the river to irrigate whatever it is that they're growing. Success.
Made it.
Alright, let me get you all caught up. We loaded everything back into the car and drove back into Colorado to Fruta so that we could drop off Trevor's rental kayak. We stopped at a Mexican restaurant called El Tapatio and got some food. And now we are headed back west on the interstate back into Utah. We're gonna find a place to camp. I think we're gonna try to camp up in the mountains, up in the La Salle Mountains above Moab. Trevor spotted this mama pronghorn antelope and the 2 babies out here. So this tree here, I remember reading about it somewhere online. It's supposed to be one of the largest, if not the largest, cottonwood tree in Utah. It is enormous. Wow.
Really big.
This feels prehistoric. It looks prehistoric. driving through Castle Valley right now. We've got Castleton Tower on the left with the rectory and the priest on the far left. We're heading up into the mountains. We're driving up into the La Salles, and hopefully we can find a place up there to camp. It's just before 8 o'clock and we found a great little campsite up in the mountains. It's still deserty, but the mountains are right here. So looking above to the mountains, and then there are these little dirt roads with actually several campsites with fire rings. We're parked at the end of this little dirt road that circles before coming back in a nice little spot. Very quiet. No other people camped around here yet, but it is a Saturday night, so who knows. This is the view from just a couple of minutes, like a 1-minute walk from our camp. Again, you've got Castle Valley out here. Trevor might bring his tent down here to camp here. That'd be an awesome camp spot. This is the sunset from Trevor's campsite, which is a little bit behind mine. He's setting up his tent over here.